See, I got Gordon up here. Got Gordon hanging out with us. I got Angie.
I got Angie and Gordon too.
Okay, okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Karen Cuthrell. What's happening, Karen? How are you, lady?
Hey, Rod. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Not much, man. Just like you said, playing hide and go seek with this thing called the Rona.
Cool.
Yeah, Corona. I'm excited to have you on tonight to talk about this incredible idea that you came up with. Can't wait to get into that and share that with the people. I want to thank the people for with our group, rocking with our group. What's better than one black millionaire? I want to thank everyone for all the support, man. All the support, all the ideas. We just hadn't gotten around to all the ideas. Y'all keep sending us ideas and trust and believe we're not ignoring them. We just got to get around to all these ideas. So thank you so very much. So tonight, though, we got Karen. We got Karen Cuthrell. Who is the founder of the Feeling Friends, which I just believe in so much. It's a dynamic idea that's going to change the lives of so many people. And so I just think, things like this only come around the way you've done it. It only comes around, not that many times in a lifetime. So I'm just excited to know you. Excited to know about the Feeling Friends. Once you got my buddies here, I got some Feeling Friends hanging out with. And I see you got a bunch of Feeling Friends behind you.
I do.
But before we just kind of dive in, I want to know a little bit more about Karen. Where are you from? Born and raised?
Born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay. Trey folk.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Winston-Salem. I left, went to UNC Chapel Hill, left there, got my first job in Washington, D.C., where I was there for 30 years. Came back about 8 years ago, back to Winston-Salem. And so this is my hometown.
So you're in Chocolate City for 30 years.
Yes. And Chocolate City, the rest around there, Rockville, Silver Spring. But, we all call it D.C. because we want to be from the big city.
Gotcha.
But I did live in D.C. for years as well.
So what took you to D.C.? Was it work or?
Work. I grew up in Winston-Salem, and the one thing that I realized is that I didn't want to come back here after I grew up. You take me leaving Winston-Salem, 1978, different town then, very different town. And I realized there was a big city. My mother took me to see The Wiz in New York in 1976. And that is when I realized there was a bigger world out there than Winston-Salem. So I determined at that point I wanted to go to NYU to school. And both of my parents said, you will not be going there. So I only applied to one school, went to Caroline, got in early admission, went there. And then I still knew that there was something pulling me out of North Carolina. So I interviewed with lots of companies, and one of the companies that hired me was out of Washington, D.C., and that's where I went.
Gotcha. What company was that?
It was Home Life Insurance Company. I designed insurance plans for companies.
Gotcha.
Had no experience, none whatsoever. But the other companies that offered me jobs were upper state New York, and it was too cold there. I went there for interviews, and it was too cold there. Xerox, and who else? Another company. And it was too cold. So I said Washington, D.C. was good. And I got to spend 6 months in New York free of charge.
Okay.
So I did make it to New York.
Hello.
1982.
Hey, free is that's a great cost sometimes.
Free was a great cost. I saw every Broadway musical there was at the time, and that really inspired me as well.
Gotcha. So when you were growing up, was the arts like a big part of your life as a child, or you just kind of was pulled towards the arts when you got to New York?
Church was the biggest part of my life. United Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church. Gotcha. At 8 years old. And then at 12 years old, a man named Halsey North came from a graduate program, arts management at Chapel Hill. And he decided to integrate the little theater in Winston-Salem. And I was one of the people chosen, the only 12-year-old at that time, chosen to do what we call street theater. We had a showmobile, and I was chosen to do that. So the arts has always been a part of my life. I was making $80 a week with the other adults with the Arts Council, the little theater. So that's how I got involved with the arts.
Gotcha. So you were a street performer.
I what? Well, you want to say it like that?
Well, I mean,
Can
you
you
know,
clean it up?
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. It was wholesome street
Oh,
performer.
wholesome street
Performer.
performer.
Yeah.
Yes,
I said a
yes.
worker. I said a performer.
You was still saying street performer. Sounds kind of.
Right. So fast forward, you go do New York, you do DC, you got your career going.
Yep.
Then you come back to North Carolina.
I came back to North Carolina in 8 years ago.
Okay.
I created the Feeling Friends up there because my daughter had been diagnosed with depression, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, and there were no tools on the market to help. The psychiatrist couldn't give anything, nor could the psychologist. What I realized is that she didn't have a vocabulary. And so after I finished beating myself up like Gordon the guilty gorilla, feeling guilty I hadn't done my part as a stay-at-home mom to prepare my daughter for school, I looked at all the list of words that children should know. And on those words for pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, there were no feelings words. So I had not failed as a parent. The information wasn't out there. So I created the Feeling Friends because what I knew that she didn't understand the vocabulary. She didn't know the vocabulary. And so once I put the vocabulary to a character, she was able to talk to me on her level about feelings. I am feeling sad like Stumpy the sad elephant. And that's how we shifted those feelings of depression. We shifted those feelings because at that point, she was able to talk to me about her depression, about her feelings.
Gotcha. Now you said, now let's go back to her diagnosis, right?
Okay.
How old was she when she got diagnosed with depression?
6.
You know what I'm saying? So at 6 years old, it's kind of hard to diagnose a 6-year-old, especially a 6-year-old that like you said, that doesn't have the words to communicate how they're feeling. So was that a difficult process? How did that come about?
I was very blessed in that her godmother was a school psychologist. So let's make it very clear. And so her first year of her life, she never smiled. And so we kind of looked at that and we kept going. But when she got to be 6, her godmother said, we've got some issues here. We've got some issues here and we've got to tackle these issues. And she said, and I can't treat my goddaughter. I've got to send her to the best. And so that's when we send her to the best. And that's when they diagnosed with depression. But we have been looking at it. But we didn't know, you don't want to put a name on it. Back then, we just didn't want to put that name on it because you thinking that she could grow out of it because we really didn't know a lot about the brain. I really didn't know about the brain. And so thinking that she possibly grow out, but at 6, she said, we've got to do it now. And so that's how we did it. So my circumstances are a little different than everybody's because I had a psychologist in my back pocket. Gotcha. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. It makes a whole lot of sense. So did that psychologist help you make the connection between the words and the characters to make it real for her?
Mm-hmm. I had 2 psychologists and 1 psychiatrist, and her godmother said she doesn't know her feelings words. And that's when I said, well, give me something, Kathy Jane, give me something to help me teach her. And she didn't have anything at well. So yes, when we realized it was the vocabulary, that's when we knew we were onto something, because as I started asking playmates, friends, anybody else that I knew, most children her age, the ones that even didn't suffer from depression, didn't have a feelings vocabulary.
Gotcha. So do most adults have a feelings vocabulary?
No.
And why is that? Like,
because we've never been taught. Right? We have never been taught. When I ask adults to sit down and write down, you got 2 minutes to write down all the feeling words they know. They're dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded. Sometimes we get 10. How many did you put down that day I asked you to do it?
Maybe 4.
4, yeah. So, and you're about average. Yeah, you're about average 2 minutes. You cannot think of the vocabulary words. And so when you don't have a vocabulary, it's hard to talk about our feelings. We just did some research in Winston-Salem and Vance County and Portsmouth. And like the research said, children know happy, sad, mad. Happy, sad, mad. And when you put that for adults, it's basically the same. And it's nothing wrong with that. We've just never focused on the vocabulary and how to express our feelings. And so your answer to your question is no, most adults don't know how. I didn't know how either until I delved into this. Gotcha.
So I bet when you were at the first of all, I tell people all the time, no one does anything without a motive. We don't get out of the bed in the morning without a motive, right? Mm-hmm. And so you had a big enough motive to say, let me try to do something to help my child. And so
Yes.
that was your motivation to kind of connect the dots and to, figure out a way to help her improve her feelings vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And so, Rod, you got to understand, back then, depression in the African American community was a dirty word.
Mm.
It was one that we did not even talk about. It was a dirty, it still is. We still don't like to say the word depression, because when we say depression, that means years ago, that meant your child was crazy. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense. So how did you deal with that then? Because if that was the stigma, that stigma had to have impacted, how you guys moved in treating her. So how did you deal with that personally?
I dealt with my child is not crazy. Depression is a medical illness. It's an illness just like anything else, and that we have to treat it as such. So I told everybody that my daughter suffers from depression, because if they saw something that I needed to see, I need to know about, they should let me know. I remember we were sending her to Camp Atwater one year, and at that time she was on medication, and her father at the time said, "Don't tell anybody, that she's suffering from depression." And I said, "You got to be kidding me. She needs her medication when she's up there." So when we got up there, I met with all the councils and told them exactly what it was. And they became people on the lookout for it. When people know and you explain to them what it is, and they begin to understand it, then it's no longer a dirty word. Then it's nothing to be ashamed or be embarrassed about.
That is so true, because in our community, things like depression or really any type of mental health challenge,
Yes.
we tend to we want to cover it up, and we want to cloak it, right? And I think one of the things you did was, by doing that, you kind of took away, or you took back the power of
Yes.
making sure you could help treat your child, and making sure that others also did the same thing. Because if they noticed something that, especially when you weren't around, they could actually contribute by saying, "Hey, I noticed this. This is what I saw. You might want to take a look at this." But if they didn't know and something happened, it might have been, they came up with their own interpretation of what that was, and didn't assist at all with your daughter's treatment. So you took back the power of making sure you have control of your healthcare.
You do. And I had to do that for her, because she couldn't do it for herself. And I was her mom. And that's what moms do. I had to advocate for her everywhere we went. Even after the point of, in 9th grade, she had a serious accident at school that kept her out of school from 7 months. And when she came out of that accident, she was on a 504 plan. That's a step up from a IEP, saying she needed accommodations. I went advocating for her once again, because if you don't advocate for your children, no one will. No one will, especially when it comes to their mental health, their disabilities they may have. There is nothing wrong with a disability. It's just who you are at the moment. And so we have to advocate for our children. And Rod, we have to advocate for ourselves. In developing the Feeling Friends, I thought I was doing it to help my daughter, and I was, but it helped me. It is the thing that gets me up. It has made me an emotional, intelligent leader. It started going down this path, but really, it was all for me. I'm very selfish. I'm a much better person developing the Feeling Friends.
Gotcha. So you have the list of words that communicates feelings. You have a character.
Yes.
What was the first character that you created?
The first character we created was, and this isn't a character that you all know, it's Ida, the confident bee. I can be what I want to be because I believe in me. I'm one big possibility because I believe in me. My daughter with depression was not very confident. And so I said, we've got to do something, a song that makes her feel very confident. And so that song, Ida the Confident Bee, was the first character that we created. Then we created Lotta Love. She's like the teacher on Feeling Friends Island. She has a lot of love for everyone, because Lotta Love is so important, because whenever emotion a child experiences, especially if it's an unfriendly emotion, and we do not say negative, we say an unpleasant one or an unfriendly emotion, unpleasant one is what we really say, is that we try to shift them back to Lotta Love's house, because that's where all the fun happens, at Lotta Love's house. And then I created a character for her, and it was Wesley the Lonely Whale. As an only child, my only child, and suffering from depression, she was very lonely a lot of the time. And so her first name was Wesley. And so I created Wesley the Lonely Whale for her. So those are the first 3 characters that we created.
Gotcha. And so she just gravitated to those characters, right?
Oh, we had to meet them where they are. Children love characters.
Yeah. How old was your daughter at this time?
She was 6 years old.
Gotcha. Okay. And so she fell in love with the characters, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And you said you developed songs. Now, what's the importance of the music or the song associated with the character?
We learn by music. That's a style of learning. And the character, the song reinforces the music. In the song, we have strategies to teach children how to deal with that feeling, how to deal with that feeling. And in addition, the children put those 2 together, and then they put it with the character. And it's just a way of reinforcing the vocabulary. In this situation, think about the first time you traveled out of state, out of the country, and you didn't speak the language. I'll talk about the first time I went to France. I did not speak any French. And so I was in a world where I couldn't communicate. When children don't have a feelings vocabulary and we ask them, how are you feeling? They probably feel the same way that I felt in France. They couldn't communicate with you. They can't communicate how they're feeling. But once you give them that vocabulary, they are able to communicate how they're feeling. And then you put a story behind it, and then you put music behind it. It's all the way live then at that point for the child.
Not all the way live.
It's all the way live. Live's all the way live. Even have okay.
We'll get a concert too.
Yeah.
So, and this might be, I really didn't understand the answer to this question. But why is it important for children or people, period, to have a vast vocabulary to communicate? Like, why is it important to know how to say exactly how I'm feeling? Why isn't it enough to say I don't feel good, or
because
I feel bad, or I feel?
When you tell me you don't feel good, I don't know how you feel. But if you're saying I'm feeling sad, I can immediately know exactly how you're feeling. Then I can know how to either help you, how to assist you, how to comfort you, how to guide you. But if I don't know what you're feeling, I'm just guessing. And why guess when there's such a robust vocabulary out there for people to use?
Gotcha. And we definitely don't want to guess, because if we guess, we may
guess wrong.
Guess wrong, and then tie our actions to that wrong guess.
You tied right, and you've gone down the wrong road, and you didn't have to. But when I say, Rod, if you'd ask me, Rod, I am feeling tired as heckified because this has been a very busy week for me. Then you exactly know how, or I'm hoping that you know how to respond to me in that manner that is supportive, that is, you're not guessing about what was she wrong. If I was something wrong with it, I'm tired.
So the whole process, you have a character, you have the character in the form of a puppet.
Yes.
So I got a couple friends here, and then you have the music, and then with the music you also have a song.
Yes.
Lyrics that speak to that emotion.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. And so is this something that you sit down with the child and you say, this is, Angie the Angry Tiger, and read her book and sing her song, and voila?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the process?
I wish it was voila. And are you talking about a parent's process?
Talking about parents, anyone that uses your tool to help their child. Like you with your daughter, was it something that you guys sat down with, on a regular basis, weekly basis, daily basis? If she had a particular episode, how does this really help someone?
Well, we started with feelings check-ins. Every day I would ask her in the morning, I would ask her, how are you feeling? When she got up, and she would use the language that I taught her. I am feeling blank because. I am feeling blank because. I am feeling lonely because I don't have any friends to play with. Okay, Lonnie, you don't have any friends to play with. That's fine. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's see. And I would try to help her with that problem. It's learning vocabulary. First, she meets all the friends. all of the friends. And when she sees all the friends, the friend that she gravitates to the most is basically what your child is feeling. And that's what we found to be. So if you have a child that gravitates to Wallace the worry worm, then you know your child is worried about something. And that's the magic within the Feeling Friends. And then from there, you just teach it. You use the books and you teach it as you see fit. I have parents that are using it every day. They do their feelings check-in every day, and they play a Feeling Friend song every day. That reinforces what they are learning. And then you let the child kind of guide you. Or you as the parent, if you know your child is having some problems feeling guilty about some things, or they've done some things that they should feel guilty about possibly, you bring out Gordon the guilty gorilla, right? You have right there. And you discuss guilty and what guilty is and how they can move that feeling from being guilty back to love. You explain to them, because in every book, there's a definition of the word. And so you can sit down and talk about the definition of the word. At school, the way we do it, we start with the web and we ask every child, what do you think love is? Kids will say, love is kisses. Love is this. Love is this. Love is tying my shoe. We write all of those things down on that circle, on that web, with a lot of love in there, because then we know what the child knows about that word. So if you ask your child, what is tenderness? Rod, what is tenderness to you?
Just heartfelt, just a turtle. That's what tenderness is to me, a turtle.
Tenderness is a turtle. So, and this is Ty the tenderness turtle. What we would do is that a teacher that we found that is one of the hardest words to teach is tenderness. And let me just say the feeling words that we use are aligned to the North Carolina Early Foundation standards, and our assessments aligned to Head Start as framework as well. So what we do is totally standard based. So we're started off teaching tenderness this year because in our research we found that was one of the most difficult words to teach to children, and so we put it in the front. And so what tenderness does for children, they learned that tender deals with your heart, a tender heart, and they learned the definition of tenderness. And so that's what it is. And so at that point, children begin, as they learn the Feeling Friends, they begin to use the language on how they are feeling. And so that's the miraculous part right there.
Gotcha. So I heard you say in the classroom. So you actually take the Feeling Friends into classrooms?
Mm-hmm. Teachers, we've implemented in 3 school districts, and teachers implement them in the classroom. Yes. And it's amazing. That's how we know it works. It's amazing when you have a teacher that can sit down with her children and use the Feeling Friends curriculum and their educational kit in preschool. And when these preschoolers leave there knowing 12 vocabulary words, more than most of us know as adults when we write them down, it's amazing. So we take them into the classroom. The teachers read the stories. They play the activities. They play the music. They do the science project. We've integrated the Feeling Friends into academics. So it's not just social emotional learning anymore. It's fully integrated with a STEAM program as well. So everything that they're doing that day, you can incorporate the feeling of it. So Rod, we just did this science activity. How do you think that made Ty the tenderness turtle feel? And the children give their responses on that because of the featured Feeling Friend of the Week.
Gotcha. That sounds deep. I love it. So
Awesome.
You started with 3 characters tied to 3 vocabulary words. How many characters are you up to now? Or have you addressed like all of the vocabulary or the feeling vocabulary words?
No, they're over 1,000 feeling words. Did you know that?
1,000?
Over 1,000.
So you're telling me there are 1,000 feelings?
Yeah.
Nah.
So how am I feeling? So it's true.
1,000 feelings?
Huh? Yeah.
I'm about to be dangerous because I'm going to go learn all of them.
Awesome. But we have Feeling Friends for about, I think, 92 of them.
92 of them.
And we have books not in print, but they're ready to go for about 50 of them.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's dope. So you're in a classroom. What's the benefit of the Feeling Friends in a classroom for the teachers? I get the benefit for the children. What's the benefit for the teachers?
Teachers are able to teach. I've seen that children are able to explain to them how they're feeling. So when you do your feelings check in the morning, and a child can be standing at the door as they're putting their stick into their telling how they're feeled. And there are only 12 feelings right there. But then you have a child that's so used to this, and they'll just say, I'm feeling hungry. Okay. Teacher knows she can address that issue right then. If a child comes in feeling like Donnell disgusted dingo, she can address it at the door. You know, so that when she sits down in circle time and she does her full feelings check-in, she knows exactly what's coming to her. She sees exactly what a parent has dropped off at school, and she knows how to address that in the circle right then so that she can teach. I was in Vance County one day, and it was just an amazing thing. This little girl, she used to tear up the room. She could tear it up until the teacher, she was new into the classroom, the teacher introduced her to Angie, the angry tiger. And once she learned how Angie, the angry tiger was, the child would remove herself when she got angry. She would move herself from the classroom, from the teaching area, go spend some time with Angie, and then come back to the circle or the classroom when she was ready. And she had moved that emotion. And therefore, the teacher never had to stop teaching the other 24 children in the classroom because this one little girl was acting out. That's the beauty of the Feeling Friends.
Yeah, that's dope. So what happens though when that child goes home and they don't have the Angie, the angry tiger, is not at home with them? Angie's in the classroom, but if that really, calms the child down, calm that little girl down, and kind of recenter that little girl, how does that? Does Angie kind of go with her in spirit? Or so what happens at home when or on the weekends when the children aren't around the Feeling Friends?
With our curriculum, we send home a newsletter to parents as well that teaches them how they can use the Feeling Friends and the Feeling Friends language and the characters at home to help them emotion coach their children at home. So we have a set of tools that we send home to parents so they can help their child at home, those that are in Feeling Friends classrooms. And it's really good because what parents have learned, I did a session one time, emotion coaching your children at Kimberly Park Elementary School here in Winston-Salem. And it was just 45 minutes, and I had 90 parents in there. And the parents went home with the information that I gave them because it was a kindergarten parents, went home with that information. And she said, not only did the Feeling Friends help her child, it helped her because she learned how through emotion coaching with the Feeling Friends, she learned how to deal not only with her kindergarten child, but her special needs, her autistic child as well. And it's the language and how you coach your children, how you speak to them, how are you feeling? And you teach them, say, I am feeling blank, because the Feeling Friends is just not a product. It's an experience. And so once parents pick up on the experience part of it and they do their own work, because the first thing that we say with emotion coaching, it starts with the parents first. You got to learn to manage your feelings, identify, express, and manage your feelings just with the children. And so when parents are reading this information that comes home, it gets them to thinking about their own emotions and their own emotional intelligence. So that's how it works at home.
Gotcha. So in essence, from afar, you're still kind of educating the parent.
Yes.
Still be a benefit to the child as it relates to their emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. So how do you decide like what character or what emotion you're going to tackle next?
If from a school point?
Any point, from a school point, or because like you said, you have 90?
We have 90. The next one that we tackle.
Which one is going to be 91? Like, how do you determine out of 1,000 different emotions? How do you determine, what's next?
Someone says something to me, and so if I had a character tech on next, it would be that someone very close to me said they'd been ignored. They felt ignored all their life.
Gotcha.
Yeah, ignored. So we don't have an ignored character, but I'm sure there are people out there that feel ignored. So it may be Isabella, the ignored iguana. But that would be one that's on the list to do, because we know there are people out there feeling ignored. So it's personal experiences. Part of the characters, many of the characters were developed by children telling me what they wanted to see, what feeling they wanted to see, like Sam the sneaky snake. That's some sneaky people.
I can go with some adults.
or somebody, Latrell the lazy leopard. So children have given me feelings, and that's how that 90 were developed. They've given me feelings that they want to see. Right. They know some lazy folks, and I knew. And the little boy who named himself Cuthrell, the lazy leopard, he was in 4th grade. He was lazy, and he was lazy in school because he was bored. He was a genius. He was bored, and so he called himself. It's the cutest thing. So when people give me ideas, I just put them away, file them away, and say, one day, here's another feeling friend.
Yeah, and I just had a thought there as you were talking about, that story about the lazy leopard. I mean, a lot of times people will label someone and say, using this example, you're lazy, right? Versus lazy being a feeling, versus someone saying or articulating, I feel lazy.
I feel lazy.
I feel lazy doesn't mean I'm lazy.
No,
I feel lazy.
I feel lazy.
Yeah.
I feel lazy.
Wow, that's good stuff. Let's kind of pivot real quick and talk about, because everything that you said, I mean, it's just amazing. First of all, just diving in as a parent to say, I got to figure something out to help my child, and then not only that, kind of making it your life's work from that point on, because your daughter's doing very well now. That she's, I don't want to tell her age, but she's an adult and doing very, very well, and I think you mentioned one time to me that she still sings the songs of the Feeling Friends that she learned when she was, just a child or an adolescent.
She sings what she can remember. Part of that in that accident she had was some brain injuries, but what she can remember, she sings the songs, but more importantly, she applies the same principles. The story that she told me about a year and a half ago was that she was feeling a little lonely. And I said, then what are you going to do? And she said, I got to get back to Lotta Love's house. And so getting back to Lotta Love's house, there's a train on Feeling Friends Island. You can take the train this way and you can get to Lotta Love's house really, really quickly, or you can take the train this way and you can go through the Feeling Friends muckety muck mountains, disgust, despair, loneliness, all of that. But eventually you're going to get back through the mountains. You're going to get back to Lotta Love's house. Now you can stay in the muckety muck mountains as long as you want to. You don't have to shift the feeling at all. You can stay sad because your emotions most times are a choice. But she said, I guess I got to get back to Lotta Love's house. And I said, then what are you going to do? So we get back to Lotta Love's house. You do something that you love to do. She said, I'm going to take a spin class. I said, okay. She went and took a spin class and went and took a walk, whatever it was. And she called me an hour and a half later, 2 hours later. I'm good, Mom. I'm good. So she moved that emotion, and she still does. She did it then and she does it now. And so that's something that we can do as adults. We can take our emotions, and I do it a lot. When I'm here, I try to get back to Lotta Love's house real quick, because I don't have time to spend in muckety muck mountains. I got too much work to do. I got a purpose to fulfill, and to leave the world emotionally better off than I found it. So I get back to Lotta Love's house very quickly. But it's your emotions are all in your mind, and we control them. They don't control us. One thing I teach children is I'm the boss of my feelings. Can't you see? I manage my feelings. They don't manage me. Children want to be the boss of something, and so do adults. So be the boss of your feelings. And so when you are the boss of your feelings, you become a CEO, and children love becoming a CEO of their feelings, and it's chief emotions officer of their feelings. We have a parent who just taught that last week, and she sent me a picture, a video of her daughter talking about, I want to visit Feeling Friends Island, because her mother told her there she was the CEO, chief emotions officer of a feeling. And she just loved Lotta Love. She loved all the characters, and her mother is sitting at home teaching her the words and the vocabulary, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I just love that. I love that idea of being the boss of your feelings.
Be the boss of your feelings. Yeah, you have to be. There's situations that happen. If you don't have that in place, it won't end up pretty.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So let's kind of take a slight pivot, because this is great. You jumped in, you helped your daughter, you built a system, basically. You built some processes and some systems and laws, and we know laws govern the universe. And so, that's awesome. But then at some point you had this, you kind of said that, hey, this can help other people. And a business was birthed. Right. And so now, being an entrepreneur, because you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, founder of the Feelings Company, And then someone asked about where could they get information, and they can go to thefeelingsfriends.com. But the company that you formed or you created is the Feelings Company. That's pretty much the platform that distributes, these lovely folks to classrooms at this point. And I think you said something about looking at actually trying to get these things into homes with individuals, because the thing that I thought about a whole lot when it comes to the Feeling Friends is the situation that we're in right now with this pandemic and being stuck in a house. And kids, especially my daughter, she's very, very social. And for her to have to be in the house, to go to school in the house, and to just kind of be on lockdown for, much of every single day, it just didn't, she struggled with that, quite frankly. And so I could see the Feelings Friends helping during times like this. Is that the case, or am I off?
It does help during times like this. And the teachers that are still implementing are implementing with fidelity, because the first thing they ask their children in the morning are, how are you feeling? Do your feelings check in? So they see their children. But how it can really help with parents is helping their children learn the vocabulary, and parents and children sitting down together and discussing the vocabulary and how they are really feeling about this COVID period. I wrote somebody, Tommy, the traumatized turkey. I wrote it this summer. The illustrations are done. I just haven't sent it off to the graphics artist to put the words on it. But Tommy talks about being traumatized during COVID-19. We are all suffering from trauma. This is one thing that the entire world has in common right now, this trauma that we're experiencing. And so the first thing that Tommy, Lotta Love, teaches Tommy is that when it comes to parenting, parents, you've got to get your emotions under control. You have to get your emotions under, and once you get your emotions under control, then you're able to help your children. And in helping your children is giving them vocabularies and giving them the freedom to say respectfully, I am feeling blank because, and then having the knowledge on what to do when they express how they are feeling and how to possibly get them back to Lotta Love's house.
I love it. Lotta Love. Lotta Love is like the core.
She's the core,
because she is love, and we know that love is the most important emotion.
It is. Love is the most important feeling.
Gotcha. How have the school systems been receptive to the Feeling Friends? Is that they see that can benefit their classrooms, or not?
The school systems where we've implemented, the research shows that we benefit their classrooms. Children have come out with the feelings vocabulary. Teachers have stated that it has reduced conduct problems in the classrooms. They've learned the vocabulary, so that's literacy right there. They've learned the vocabulary. Aggression has stopped in the classroom. So because children are now, they understand how they're feeling. They're learning social emotional skills. They're learning empathy, how to share. All those things are tied up with the Feeling Friends. So school systems that we have implemented in have found great benefit in the Feeling Friends. We were very fortunate that to really do anything in the educational space, you have to be evidence-based. You have to be evidence-based. You have to show the research. So our first year out, last year, 2019, 2018, 19, whatever the first year was, we did the research. And this year, 2020, we became evidence-based.
Yeah. 2020 feels like 5 years, so I can understand.
Oh my gosh.
We started 2018, 2019. Yeah, 2020 feels like 5 years, so I get it.
We ordered the product in 2018. It came in May 2019. And doing that process as an entrepreneur, I lost the back of my hair, because just as being an entrepreneur, things happen. Your product doesn't come in. People don't do what they're supposed to do. So I was feeling very stressed, as Sabrina the stressed squirrel at that time. And so, but 2019, our product came in. We had one school system that got it and put their hands in it. And 2019, that fall, they implemented with Smart Starter for Forsyth County. Some daycares here in Smart Starter for Forsyth County, they implemented. Portsmouth joined in January. And through those 3 school systems implementing, we became evidence-based. So we were ready. As an entrepreneur, we were ready to hit the field's marketing, and COVID came. And so right now, school systems really aren't looking at social emotional learning. They're looking at how to get children to learn over the internet. And so that's what the focus is. And so a lot of school systems have said, come back and see us next year, Karen. Let's get through COVID. But the ones that have implemented love it. Absolutely love it. The assistant superintendents love it.
Gotcha. Good deal. That's some good stuff. So we have some questions. So let's jump to this question right here. And you just kind of briefly touched on it. And that question is, will this work in a virtual classroom?
It does. It really does. When you get your educational kit, we had a place for teachers to pull things from, but now we've made a Google Classroom that teachers can go into the Google Classroom along with their kit. So they have the puppet and they can teach straightly from the Google Classroom. We have everything in the Google Classroom that a teacher needs to teach the Feeling Friends.
Gotcha. Another question is, what would you recommend for parents to purchase when first starting out?
I would purchase the first book number 1. I would purchase the music, the digital download of the music, and I would purchase a puppet. And if you don't purchase the puppets, purchase as many books as you can. Take your child online and say, which characters do you like? We have them with the descriptions down there, and then purchase those books that the children like from those characters. But make sure you purchase that digital download, because that's the music, and that's what children want to hear.
Gotcha. And when it comes to the puppet, I would imagine that just kind of based on what your child is dealing with.
Yes.
Yes. That's the puppet that you would go with. Like if you have the perception that your child has an anger problem, you go with Angie, the angry tiger. But outside of that, because it's about learning the vocabulary, I can see you just, we're going to learn about anger this month. Next month, we're going to learn about, bullying. Next month, we're going to learn about, whatever the next emotion is. I'm stuck on 2.
Right.
We're going to learn about sadness, right? We're going to learn about tenderness. Okay, I'm up to 4.
Come on.
I'm about to jump on the website and
we're gonna learn about love. We're gonna learn about disgusted. We're gonna learn about where are the rest of those critters? Okay, here's a book. An activity book. We have an activity book for pre-kindergarten. We're going to learn about happy. We're going to learn about tenderness. We're going to learn about satisfied. I love satisfied. I got shoes on my feet and food to eat. Bump, bump. I'm satisfied. It tells Sadie is one of those children who's been in a very unhappy home. And she goes into foster care. And so it's the small things in life that satisfy her. So I love Sadie. We're going to learn about fear. See fear right there? I can't see what I'm doing. There's fear right there. Franny, the fear frog. Franny fears everything. Let's see. Oh, shame. Fear, shame, and guilt. Fear, shame, and guilt. Those 3 right there. I asked the writers of the curriculum, why would you use those words? And they said if a person can tackle those 3 words in their life, those 3 emotions, how far they will go. They wanted the children in North Carolina to have a robust feelings vocabulary. And so for those children to learn how to manage those 3 emotions, because you think about it as an adult, how often have you lived in shame? How often have you lived in guilt? And I'm one to say me. And how often have you lived in fear? If we can tackle those 3 emotions as adults and teach children how to tackle those 3 emotions and how to manage those emotions, the trajectory for their life will be out of this world.
Man, the trajectory for adults with those 3 emotions be out of this world.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. Yeah. And I've had to learn with all of them, the fear of getting out there as an entrepreneur. How many of us have that of fear? The fear when you put it out there, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. I'm one of those things that has to be perfect. The fear, all of that fear that I had to deal with as an entrepreneur, the fear of talking about the Feeling Friends, to people and telling them what I have as a product. I've had to come to manage all of those emotions. So I became the boss of my feelings and they weren't the boss of me.
Gotcha. What's been the hardest part about ramping up or growing the Feelings Friends or growing the Feelings Company?
The hardest part
as an entrepreneur.
The hardest part has been the marketing aspect, marketing sales. As you realize, I'm a creator, and we were doing quite well in the educational rep part, because now that we had the evidence base, right, I was going out there, I was going to be a door-to-door salesperson to schools, to school systems, just knocking on the doors, Head Start centers, and then COVID hit. So right now, marketing and sales, because superintendents of schools aren't reading emails about social emotional learning. Their plates are full. And so that piece has been the most difficult piece right there, because we were projected to continue to scale the company and never have to take investment dollars. But now that we do, because we just have run out. And so we're looking at investment dollars to scale the company, but also to help take us to other places that we haven't been before.
Gotcha. So, people are asking, how do I get access to this? How do they get access to the puppets and the books and the music and all that good stuff?
www.thefeelingfriends.com. We have a Shopify store, and right now we're writing all the descriptions to the Feeling Friends, so we can make little Feeling Friends bags, one for every bag. Or you can just go on there and just order the books and puppets right now. No problem. And we ship, if we get the order before 4 o'clock that day, really before 3 o'clock that day, we ship that same day.
Gotcha. Goes out the door that day.
That day.
That's good stuff. One last question. Where do you see the Feelings Company, the Feeling Friends, in the next 5 years?
I see us with an app. I see us with a subscription-based app. So everything that a child is getting at school, parents can reinforce at home. I see us building that app. I see us global with some kind of television show, the Feelings Friends television show. And we've gotten all the scripts already written. We're ready to go with that. I see us really impacting the world and children actually being able to talk about their feelings. I just see the company scaling. I see licensing and merchandising. I've seen all of this for a while. I just see us being a global brand.
Yes, that is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
We finished?
We're done, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
You can come back though. We can definitely have you back.
You can invite me back anytime.
Okay, what you got?
What's the most important feeling?
Love. That's easy.
What's the most important feeling?
Love.
What's the most important feeling?
Love.
And I love you, Rod Brown.
Love you back, girl. Love you back. You are crazy. Listen, thank you again so much. Everybody go check out thefeelingfriends.com. Just spend some time learning the feelings vocabulary. I know that's what I'm going to do. That's one of the things I'm definitely going to do. So thank you so much for educating us. Thank you for the tips. Thank you for your passion, because this thing, what you're doing, will not only change the lives of children that will ultimately become adults, right? It's going to change the world. So thanks a ton. Thank you for all the members of the dopest group that's on Facebook, period. And that's What's Better Than One Black Millionaire. Thank you for all the people who've been inviting people to join the group. Please continue to do that. Please continue to share this rich content that we're having, and we're giving away the game. And with that, we're going to say good night. We love you. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Have a safe holiday. Don't eat too much and then eat too much. We love you guys. Be blessed.
Be best.